If I could live my life over again, whew, that's a big one, right? It's the kind of question that sneaks up on you in the quiet moments. For example, when you're sipping your morning coffee and the house is still, or when you're folding laundry, suddenly a song comes on the radio that takes you back 40 years. Just like that, your mind wanders through all those little forks in the road you've taken. Have you ever done that? Catch yourself wondering about the choices you didn't make, the paths you didn't take, not with regret exactly, but more like curiosity. What if I had done that instead? What if I had said yes or no? What if I'd spoken up? I think it's something we all do at some point, especially after 60. Life doesn't slow down, but we do. And in those pauses, we look back, not to beat ourselves up, but to understand, to learn, and maybe even to teach someone else what we wish we'd known. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for this life, all of it. The messy parts, the beautiful bits, the awkward, the amazing. But still, there are a few things, a handful of things really, that if I could go back and whisper into the ear of my younger self, I would. And I think these reflections might resonate with you too, because we've probably lived through some of the same storms and sunny days. The first thing I'd do differently, I would have spoken up more, especially when it came to love, intimacy, and what I needed emotionally and physically. I spent far too many years being polite, being quiet, thinking, oh, it's fine, I'll just go along with it, even when I didn't feel seen or heard. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. I'm talking about friendships, family, even how I talk to myself. But especially in relationships, I wish I'd said more. I wish I'd said, I need you to really listen to me, or this is how I feel loved. I didn't learn until later in life that speaking up is not selfish. It's necessary for connection, closeness, and real intimacy. When we were growing up, these things weren't talked about. You just made do. You didn't ask too many questions, and certainly not the personal ones. And that's how I ended up thinking that my needs were secondary. That if I just loved hard enough, or waited patiently enough, somehow my partner would just know what I wanted. But let me tell you, guessing games don't build good relationships. Honest conversations do. Looking back, I think of all the time I could have spent truly connecting, instead of guessing, tiptoeing, holding back. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned. Your voice matters. Your needs matter. And it's never too late to start saying what you feel, whether you're 60, 70, or 90. The second thing I'd change, I would have stopped picking apart my body decades ago. Ooh, that one's tough to admit. For so long, I believed I had to look a certain way to be desirable. I believed that if I didn't have a flat stomach or tight skin, I didn't deserve affection or pleasure or confidence. And can I say, that's complete nonsense. I can't tell you how many special moments I ruined for myself because I was too caught up in how I thought I looked. I'd be lying there with someone I cared about, and instead of feeling loved, I was feeling self-conscious, pulling the sheets up, turning off the lights, worrying about my thighs or laugh lines. I was so busy criticizing myself that I couldn't be present. And I regret that, not because of how I looked, but because I missed the joy of being in the moment. And it took me far too long to realize this body, the one that's carried me through decades, through grief and joy, through birth and heartbreak and Sunday morning dances in the kitchen. This body deserves to be celebrated, not in spite of the wrinkles and softness, but because of them. They're proof that I've lived, that I've loved, that I've survived. And if no one ever told you this before, let me be the one to say it. You are allowed to feel beautiful and desired at any age. You can be proud of your body, not for how it looks in a mirror, but for everything it's done for you. And it's not too late to feel that way, starting right now. If you're still here and this video is helping you, leave a quick comment below. I'd really like to know you're watching. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time. Tap the bell so you don't miss the next one. Let's keep going. The third thing I'd change? I wouldn't have waited so long to say yes to pleasure. It is not just physical pleasure, though that's part of it, but pleasure in all forms. The kind that makes you giggle, the kind that sends chills down your spine, the kind that fills you up from the inside out. Somewhere along the way, I bought into the lie that joy, fun, and passion were for young people, that after a certain age, you're supposed to settle into something more reserved. And so I got quiet. I started dressing a little plainer, laughing a little softer, and second-guessing those spontaneous urges to be playful, flirty, or bold. But you know what? That's a slow way to lose yourself. When I finally gave myself permission to enjoy, to really enjoy life again, it felt like I was waking up. I started saying yes to things that scared me a little. I tried new hobbies. I flirted just for the fun of it. I leaned into tenderness and touch and delight. And let me tell you, it didn't make me feel older. It made me feel alive. And I want that for you too. Not someday. Now, let's keep going. So, here we are, still walking through this little what if together. And let me tell you, if you're watching this and you've made it to this point, thank you. There's something kind of beautiful about reflecting, isn't there? not to dwell in the past, but to see it more clearly. I think of it like polishing a dusty window. You don't change the view, but you can finally see it. Now, when I think back on what I wish I'd done differently, it's not just about relationships or physical closeness, though those are a big part of our lives. It's also about how I treated myself. One of my biggest regrets is how long I let fear make decisions for me. Not the kind of fear that keeps you safe, like don't walk down that dark alley, but the sneaky kind. The kind that whispers, you're too old, or you'll embarrass yourself, or that's not for people like you. That fear cost me a lot of joy. There were years when I wanted to try new things, take a dance class, join a book club, explore online dating after divorce. But I held back because I was afraid of being judged, failing, or just looking silly. And here's the kicker. Most of those things I was scared of never even happened. Nobody laughed at me. I didn't make a fool of myself. In fact, the few times I did take a risk, it usually led to something good, a memory, a new friend, even just a story that makes me smile when I think about it. I remember once, this must have been in my late 50s, I passed by this salsa class at a local community center. It looked like so much fun. The music, the energy, the laughter. I stood outside that window for 3 weeks straight, just watching, always thinking, next time. It took me nearly a month to finally walk in and sign up. And you know what happened? I loved it. I wasn't the best dancer in the room, not by a long shot, but I had fun. I laughed so hard I cried some nights. And more than that, I felt alive in my body again. I felt playful, desired, free. That experience changed me. It reminded me that the biggest wall in my life had been me, my own fear, my own hesitation. And if I could go back, I'd knock that wall down much sooner. So, if there's something you've been putting off, maybe it's joining a dating site or telling someone you like them, or even trying something new in the bedroom. Whatever it is, ask yourself, is fear calling the shots here? And if the answer is yes, maybe it's time to change that. Now, the other thing I'd go back and do differently, I would have let go of guilt so much sooner. Oh, guilt, that old friend who overstays their welcome. For a long time, I thought guilt was part of being a good person. If I felt guilty, it meant I cared. If I worried about being too much, not enough, or letting someone down, it meant I had a conscience, right? But guilt can be a trap, and for a lot of us, especially in long-term relationships, we start carrying around this invisible backpack filled with shoulds. I should be more patient. I shouldn't want that. I should just be grateful. And before you know it, you're shrinking yourself to fit someone else's comfort zone. I remember feeling guilty just for wanting a little more touch, a little more attention, and for feeling lonely in a marriage that looked perfect from the outside. I told myself, you're being selfish, or worse, you're too old to be worrying about that kind of stuff. But let me tell you something I wish I'd heard back then. Your needs don't expire with age, and guilt should never be the reason you stay silent. You are allowed to want a connection. You are allowed to want change, and you are definitely allowed to want joy, even if someone else doesn't understand it. There was a moment, I think I was around 62, when I finally said it out loud. I'm lonely. I need more affection. It wasn't easy. My voice shook. But after I said it, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. I finally honored my truth. Not because the other person magically fixed everything. And you know what else? Sometimes people will surprise you. When you show up honestly, they might meet you there. But even if they don't, you've taken a step toward your own wholeness. And that's worth everything. If you're still here and this video is helping you, leave a quick comment below. I'd really like to know you're watching. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time. Tap the bell so you don't miss the next one. Let's keep going. One more thing I've learned, now that I've had some years to reflect, is this. You don't have to be fully healed to be deeply loved. I used to think I had to figure it out before I could open up again, that I needed to fix myself before I deserved real love, real intimacy, real closeness. But the truth is, most of us are working on a project right up to the end. And love, whether it's romantic or platonic or even self-love, doesn't wait for perfection. It shows up when we're honest, when we're vulnerable, when we stop pretending we've got it all together. Some of the most powerful moments in my life didn't come from being strong. They came from being real, saying, I'm scared, or I miss you, or I'm still figuring this out. And that's what I want to leave you with for now. Not every moment needs to be fixed or improved. Some need to be felt, fully, openly, without apology. Let's keep going. You've stuck with me through a lot of heart sharing so far, and I want to say thank you. Really, it means something special to sit across from someone, even virtually, and share the kind of truths we don't always say out loud. Truths about what we'd do differently if life gave us a do-over. But here's the beautiful part. Life hasn't stopped giving us chances. Every day we wake up is another chance to choose differently, to try again, to speak a little more boldly, love a little more openly, and forgive a little more gently, including forgiving ourselves. Now, there's one more thing I want to talk about before we wrap up this reflection. It's something I didn't fully understand until much later in life, but once I did, it changed everything. If I could return, I would have stopped waiting for permission to be happy. For so long, I lived by rules I didn't even know I had agreed to. Rules about how a good wife behaves, how an older woman should carry herself, how intimacy should look after a certain age. I waited for someone to tell me it was okay to feel deeply, to explore my desires, to laugh loudly, to want more. And when no one gave me that permission, I just stayed small, polite, predictable. Looking back, I don't think anyone else was truly holding me back. It was me. I was waiting for a green light that I already had the power to give myself. Let me say this clearly, because maybe no one has ever said it to you. You are allowed to live out loud. You are allowed to feel beautiful. You are allowed to want connection, intimacy, adventure, even now, especially now. Your joy doesn't need to be explained or justified. You don't need to earn rest. You don't need to shrink to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. Whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, you get to make this chapter exactly what you want it to be. Maybe that means opening your heart to someone new, or finally being honest with your longtime partner about what you crave, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Maybe it means letting go of an old wound that's been weighing you down, or maybe it means finally dancing in the kitchen again, just because the music feels good and your soul says yes. If you're still here and this video is helping you, leave a quick comment below. I'd really like to know you're watching, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time. Tap the bell so you don't miss the next one. Let's keep going. Now, let's be honest. Change isn't easy, no matter how old we are, but it gets easier when we stop thinking of it as starting over and start thinking of it as starting fresh. That's a big difference. Starting over feels like you messed up and have to fix something, but starting fresh? That's about choosing again, with new eyes, a wiser heart, and more courage. So maybe you're sitting there, listening to all this, thinking, it's too late for me. But I promise you, it's not. You are not too late. You are right on time. Right on time to say, I want more intimacy in my life. Right on time to explore what makes you feel alive again. Right on time to speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. Because no matter how far along we are in life, the desire to connect never disappears. That quiet, persistent longing to be seen and held and understood. It's still there for a reason. It means you're human. It means your heart still beats with purpose. And hey, maybe you're in a beautiful relationship already and just realizing there's more depth to explore. Or maybe you've been flying solo for a while now and you're wondering if it's too late to open up again. Whatever your story is, I hope you give yourself a little grace, a little boldness, a little more of what you need. Because if I've learned anything, it's that the most powerful intimacy doesn't come from perfection, but from presence. Being all there, without masks, without filters. Just you, as you are, offering yourself honestly and receiving someone else with kindness. That's the kind of connection we deserve at any age. And if you've been holding back, waiting for the right time, words, body, and moment, this is your sign. The right time is now. The right words are yours. And the right moment is any moment you decide to show up fully. So, what would I do if I could live my life over again? I'd speak up sooner. I'd stop hiding behind shame and guilt. I'd laugh more, flirt more, touch more, and celebrate my body more. I'd say yes to joy, adventure, and the kind of love that doesn't ask you to be anything but yourself. But here's the truth. I still can. You still can. No matter how long we've been walking this earth, there's always another sunrise, another soft touch, another deep laugh, another moment that reminds us we're still here. We're still in it. We still matter. So, if you're watching this and thinking, maybe it's time to say yes to myself, I hope you do. Say yes. Not next week, not next year. Say yes now. Thanks for watching today's video. Take a moment to comment below with one takeaway and how you'll apply it in your own life. We really do read and appreciate every message. If you found this content useful, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might benefit. Your support helps us keep showing up for you. See you next time, my friend.